Straight ahead on this week's Falcon Fever, we take a look at the basketball teams and see how they fared in the PBC tournament and their chances of earning a bid to the big dance.
And see how the baseball team is playing on the diamond as they face two teams with 4 games. Those stories and more on this week's Falcon Fever. Welcome to Falcon Fever. Good to be back on the set. I'm Daniel Vest.
And I'm Coleman Sears. The men's basketball team traveled to Aiken, South Carolina to take on the men of Augusta State in a PBC tournament semifinal round matchup. The Falcons were led by Tyrell Coleman, who had 11 points, and he was followed by Antoine Davis and Ryan Westbrooks, who each had 10. Davis also finished out the night with a team-high 7 rebounds. All of the team played hard and kept the game close. The Jaguars used a late 12-0 run to pull the game out of reach. Head coach Danny Young had this to say about the game. "I thought we played hard and we were in the game, but in the last 4 minutes, we just fell apart. The game plan worked, but we let Johnson loose for those 2 threes and the game just got away." The Jaguars would go on to win the PBC crown over UNC Pembroke 76-59.
Although the men didn't win the PBC tournament, they did win an at-large bid to play in the NCAA tournament, the Big Dance. UM will start from the Southeast Regional and open first-round play against PBC Western Division rival Georgia Southwestern. The Hurricanes defeated the Falcons twice on the hardwood this season, winning 68 and 65 to 55.
Now that we're up on men's basketball, what about the women's team, Daniel?
Yeah, let's do it. The women went head-to-head against undefeated and top-ranked Clayton State this past weekend. Jessica Collins and Dee Harris led the Falcons against the #1 team in the nation in what would be the final game of the season for the basketball team. They scored 9 points each, while Collins also had 5 steals, and senior Carrie Parrott's last game in a Falcon uniform ended with 8 points and 7 rebounds. The team's 15 steals and 25 forced turnovers were not enough to drain the Lakers as UM fell 90-48.
The Falcons ended a tumultuous year that went up and down during the season. The ladies lost the head coach that started for them in Meechin Vanderpool 6 games into the schedule and lost 2 huge role players to injuries along the way in Trina Moore-Smith and Christina Shelton. They started an impressive 6-0 in Bank Trust Arena and finished with an 8-4 record at home. They then were on the brink of the no postseason play whatsoever when they pulled out a monumental 55-37 win on the road against Columbus State to send them into the Peach Belt Conference for the first time in the program's history. With the end of the season comes definite changes to the UM team. The program begins to look for a new head coach, and the team loses 4 seniors, so the offseason should provide plenty of news. Falcon Fever will bring you any news when it happens. Well, let's take a swing into some baseball action, Daniel.
The men played a few games at home last week. Let's get to some highlights and how they did. Following the 2-1 series win at defending Division II champs Southern Indiana, the Falcons entered against Stillman College looking to win their 6th of the last 8. On March 2nd, the guys hosted the Tigers at Kermit A. Johnson Field here in Montevallo. Wednesday night's game came down to 2 big innings and 2 big performances. UM kicked things off in the 3rd inning by bringing up 6 runs on 5 hits and thanks to a Stillman error. Stillman attempted to answer back with 4 runs of their own in the top of the 5th, but the Falcons responded with a run of their own in the bottom of the inning. The Falcons' next big rally came in the bottom of the 6th as the offense batted in 5 runs off of 4 hits and another Stillman error. The last 4 innings of the game, Montevallo held the Tigers scoreless and sealed the 12-4 victory and the season series sweep 2-0. Pelham native Austin Dubberly led the Falcons with a pair of doubles, 3 RBIs, a run scored, and went 4 of 6 from the batter's box. Senior Josh Dabbs also put up some big numbers at the plate as he added 3 RBIs, scored 2 runs, hit a double, and smashed a home run.
After disposing of Stillman College, the team opened up Peach Belt Conference play with a March 6th and 7th as the guys took on Georgia Southwestern in a 3-game series. Entering Game 1 of the matchup, the Falcons had won 5 of their last 7. The Falcons were blown away by the Hurricanes. In Game 1, the Falcons fell behind 2-1 in the 1st inning and never could claim the lead. GSW added a run in the 4th and added 3 in the 9th. UM's Austin Dubberly led off the 9th with a double, and after loading the bases, Jeremy Boyd was able to push Dubberly across with a fielder's choice, and that would be it as UM lost 6-2. Dubberly was 1 for 2 and had the RBI in the 1st, while Boyd was 1 for 3. Chris Ross was 1 for 4 with an RBI. Will Dismukes picked up the loss, dropping his record to 2-3. He lasted 5 2/3 frames. He gave up 3 earned across 9 hits. He also struck out 5 and walked 5.
The guys were hoping to shake off the loss from Sunday with a win or a sweep in the doubleheader on Monday. Unfortunately for the Falcons, the result was reminiscent of the earlier loss. Game 1 of the doubleheader was a pitcher's duel. The game was scoreless for the first 5 innings, but GSW got on the board in the 6th with a run and poured on 5 more in the 7th. Montevallo tried to answer in the bottom half of the 7th, pushing across Will Fulmer via a Josh Headley fielder's choice. However, that would be it for the Falcons. They dropped the match 7-1. Headley was 1 for 5 with an RBI. Kyle Butler picked up his first loss of the season, lasting 6 2/3 innings, striking out 2 and walking 3. He is now 2-1 on the year. In the nightcap, Montevallo didn't have a problem hitting the ball. They had 12 hits. The biggest contributor to the Falcons' demise was that they left 11 men on base. UM was able to grab their first lead of the series, going up 2-0 in the first. The Hurricanes cut into the lead with 1 in the third, but blew up for 5 in the fifth. The Falcons wouldn't tack on any more runs after the first and fell 5-2. Scotty Deason and Jeremy Boyd led the Falcons offensively. Deason was 1 for 4 with a double and an RBI, while Boyd went 1 for 5 with a run scored and an RBI.
With the sweep, the baseball team falls to 9-9 overall and 0-3 in conference play. The guys will stay busy with 7 games upcoming. March 9th, the Falcons host Alabama Huntsville. On the 12th and 13th, UM will travel to conference foe Columbus State. Then the Falcons travel to West Alabama to take on the Tigers on the 16th. Then on the 18th and 19th, UM hosts PBC opponent North Georgia. So, Dan, how do you think the tennis team's future looks?
Well, you know, it's got kind of a young team. They haven't done very well this season, 2-9. Got some room for improvement. They can still have a chance to have a winning record. You know, we're halfway through the season. So.
Well, let's hope so. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, well, the tennis team hasn't had haven't had the season they wanted so far. Following a week break, the girls tried to turn the season around as UM took on Augusta State on the 6th. The Falcons were shut out by the 29th ranked Jaguars, losing 9 matches to nothing. UM had solid play in both the singles and doubles matches. Junior Helena Nordgreen and senior Callie Robinson teamed up in the doubles for a good fight. Nordgreen battled well in her singles match, while Robinson competed in her singles matches for the first time this season.
The tennis team went on to play nationally ranked number 2 BYU Hawaii on the 8th. They didn't have much luck as they lost 6-0. The Falcons dropped all 6 matches in the contest. They fought hard throughout the singles and doubles, but fell in the end. Amy McGuckin and Yulia Shivatsova held the best double match, while 3 singles went unfinished.
The tennis team has reached the midway point of the season, as we mentioned earlier, and they have several matches coming up this month. On March 12th, the Falcons travel to take on PBC opponent Flagler University. On the 16th, they travel to face UNC Pembroke. The Falcons then travel to play against the Patriots of Francis Marion on the 17th. On the 18th, they travel to Converse College. And finally, the Falcons take on Georgia College on the 20th of March.
All right, Dan. So you've been keeping up with our teams on the links here lately?
Trying to. Emily Gibson, of course, blazing trails right now.
Absolutely.
The UM women's golf team traveled to Florida on the 8th to compete in the 36th annual Peggy Kirk Bell Invitational. UM finished in 13th place. Senior Emily Gibson led the Falcons and tied for 21st. She shot a 3-round score of 237 and a team best 78 overall score. Freshman Tracy Marshall tied for 72nd at 266, while freshman Hillary Shaner finished 77th with a score of 272 through the 3 rounds. The tournament was won by number 1 Nova Southeastern and number 2 Florida Southwestern finished second.
The women's golf team will have their next tournament after spring break. They'll travel to Villa Rica, Georgia for the West Georgia Invitational on the 22nd.
The men haven't played another tournament since the last time we met, but they have one coming up. While y'all may be celebrating spring break and sleeping in, the men will start out their break in Greenville, Tennessee for the Tusculum Invitational on the 14th. Good luck to both teams. We'll get the stats for you after spring break.
Our Falcon Fever Player of the Week this week is Emily Gibson, who after a short stint on the injured list for the Falcons golf team, came back with a bang as she took the title for the BSC and Rhodes Invitational this past weekend. Emily has played well for the Falcons over her 4-year career. She has won many awards during that time. In the 2010 season, she was named Peach Belt Conference Player of the Year and won the inaugural Peach Belt Conference Women's Golf Tournament title. Named UM's Female Athlete of the Year and was invited to play at the 2010 Regional NCAA Tournament where she finished 13th and was named First Team All-American. So far this season, Emily has shot a .686 over 9 rounds and averages a 76 over those 9 rounds. She's astonishingly only 5 over par. She finished first in 3 of the tournaments that she participated in, third in 1, and came in 14th of the 92 at the Flagler Fall Slam.
Well, looks like that's all the sports we've got for you this week. Just remember, if you've got any pictures or video of Montevallo sports on the road, please send them to umfalconfever@gmail.com. You just might see them on next week's show.
And if you'd like to watch more Falcon Fever episodes, visit our page on YouTube at Montevallo for You.
This is the last episode we'll have for a week. We come back after spring break. Make sure you have a safe one.
And don't forget, catch the fever.